It is time to get out of pocket. I'm your host, Michael Davis. Guys, we have an awesome show in store for you today. We have Johnny Cleveland, the guy I'm calling Johnny Cleveland, not Johnny Manziel, from the Fanatical Elfz Network. Join us a little later to talk about Deshaun Watson. We have Wayne, the commish, who debuts his Sideline Savants of Fantasy Football centered podcast tomorrow. He'll be joining us a little later on today. And as you can see by the screen, we are debuting our new segment. This was very exclusive to our social media channels. We're going to be debuting the top core rankings, me ranking 8-1 the top 8 teams in the NFL. And we already got comments rolling in as of today. Our King joining us. Watson is a clown. He sucks. We're going to have John to tell us exactly how he feels about that comment. And yes, he is back. We got Gorilla Toes. I cannot tell you how much I want to say the term Gorilla Toes on Out Pocket. So I'm glad you're joining us. And we have a huge show in store for you today, as you could tell by the video package. I just want to ask you guys, if you are enjoying what you're seeing on Out Pocket, on Boom Broadcasting, subscribe. If you haven't done so, that helps us bring you more content like Sideline Savants debuting tomorrow, like Dugout Debrief debuting on Thursday at noon. That allows us to help you guys. We also have a Fanatics affiliate link that you guys can use. It's in our YouTube description. Get your favorite NFL teams gear because that is the time of the season. Speaking of Chris, he has a weird feeling Dak will probably be number one. Now, this top core rankings is not players. It is teams. So without further ado, I got to get this going. Guys, I'm ranking these teams from 8-1. So let's go ahead and let's start with number 8, the New Orleans Saints. Now, I know what you're saying. The New Orleans Saints, who they beat? They beat the Carolina Panthers, the worst team in the NFL last year, and they beat them pretty bad. It was a massacre on live television Sunday afternoon when the New Orleans Saints beat the Carolina Panthers, and it wasn't even close. It was 47-10. And here's why I'm putting the New Orleans Saints up there. And I don't want to give away of who didn't make this list, but if you look at the New Orleans Saints, when it comes to scoring points, they scored the most amount of points in the NFL this week. Okay. And there were only a few teams held to 10 points or less this week. It was the Falcons against the Steelers, the Bengals against the Patriots, and a shocking turn of events. The Giants were held to 6 points against the Vikings. The Raiders held to 10 points against the Chargers. Even the Jets scored more points. And it was the Panthers scoring 10. Derek Carr, I thought, was washed. Alvin Kamara, I thought, was washed. And then I even disregard completely Raheem Shaheed for the New Orleans Saints. He had an explosive play. Chris Olave wasn't even a big component to this game. You had Juwan Johnson stepping up, Foster Moreau stepping up, Taysom Hill playing, again, everywhere on the field. They also have Jamal Williams, who I think is a very underrated running back in the NFL. And so I would say the New Orleans Saints are my 8th team. Gorilla Toast saying blasphemy. Aaron Schneider joined us. Saints only look good because Carolina's hot garbage. They look average against competent teams. And we'll see. We'll see what the Saints do against the Dallas Cowboys this next weekend. Wayne, the guy who's joining us a little later, saying the Saints gave him 17 points on defense against Panthers fan. And that's probably why Aaron's so upset about the Saints being on my list. But at number 7, we got the Baltimore Ravens. Now, I know what you guys are going to say. The Baltimore Ravens started the season with an L, but they lost to the defending back-to-back Super Bowl champion, the Kansas City Chiefs, and it was a good game. I do not recall the last time we had such a good game open up the season. Yes, I was trashing Lamar Friday afternoon on Out of Pocket because he did miss a wide-open Zay Flowers. Isaiah Likely emerged as a legitimate threat for the Baltimore Ravens. In addition, they still have veteran Mark Andrews. They have Derrick Henry. Once they start knowing how to use Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson together in this offense, it's an unstoppable attack. I'm not looking forward for the Cowboys facing them week 3. Coming in at number 6, we got the Houston Texans. Houston Texans, I did not predict to beat the Indianapolis Colts, and then they did. They won a close game, 29-27 against a division rival, the Colts. And people were saying, Joe Mixon's washed. He's not going to make a difference. Well, Mixon carried the ball 30 times. He had 159 yards. He got into the end zone. Nico Collins, Tank Dell, how are they going to do with Stephon Diggs coming into town? Nico Collins, 6 catches, 117 yards. Tank Dell, 3 catches, 40 yards. Stephon Diggs had 2 receiving touchdowns on top of that. Guys, I told you the Houston Texans have done it right when surrounding a rookie quarterback last year. And then how do you improve him? How do you improve the team? How do you prevent a sophomore slump? You go out and get veterans like Joe Mixon, veterans like Stephon Diggs. CJ Stroud, 24-32, 234 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. Even though he was sacked a few times by that Indianapolis defense, they need to shore up that offensive line a little bit when it comes to pass protection. But when it comes to run protection, they allowed Joe Mixon 5.3 yards per carry. Houston could very well be a team that climbs up these rankings as we go on. And we're getting some more comments in the section. Gorilla Toe saying Green Bay's number 1. He already knows it. You obviously didn't see the Houston Texans lose to the Philadelphia Eagles this past week, which brings me to my 5th team. I got the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously, people know I don't like the Eagles as an NFC East division rival, but you cannot deny what the Philadelphia Eagles did. We were on the nightcap. We were live. Me, myself, mouthing off with Mike and Shannon Smith. We're all talking about SmackDown. We're talking about the Packers-Eagles game as it was wrapping up. And there's some concern about Philadelphia. Obviously, the late season collapse last year. Jalen Hurts turning the ball over, a couple interceptions thrown, a fumble loss, and he actually fumbled the ball twice. And one of them was recovered by his running back teammate, Saquon Barkley. Saquon showed up. Saquon made Giants fans regret letting Saquon walk and re-signing Daniel Jones. That is why you don't spend your money on a quarterback you're not confident in. Saquon, 24 carries, 109 yards, 2 touchdowns. A.J. Brown, dominant performance. Devontae Smith, still like 1A, 1B in regards to him and A.J. Brown. The Eagles, may have also gotten help because Jordan Love didn't complete that last drive of the game. The Packers, spoiler alert, are not on these top quarter rankings because obviously they lost to the Eagles. A NFC East team that did make it, NFC North rival to the Packers, the Detroit Lions. I'm sure Bully Ryan Frick from Tap Outs and Touchdowns loves the Lions in this spot. Maybe he thinks they should be higher. And after they beat the LA Rams this past weekend, maybe they should. Sunday Night Football, the lights are bright. And of course, this primetime game goes to overtime where the Lions, Jared Goff and company beat the Rams 26-20. Here's why you should be scared of the Lions. Now, of course, I think the Chicago Bears still end up getting things together and win this division a little later on. But to start the year, you have David Montgomery averaging 5.4 yards a carry. You have Jahmyr Gibbs, who should have gotten a few more carries in this game. 11 carries, 40 yards, still productive, a touchdown as well. Was a threat in the passing game. Jamison Williams showed up. Sam Laporta showed up. Amon-Ra St. Brown didn't even need to do that much. 3 carries, 13 yards. I wish I would have seen more from St. Brown, especially for my fantasy team's sake, but that wasn't the case. The Lions able to contain Puka Nacua to where you just let Cooper Kupp, thrash you on the aerial attack. Cooper Kupp, 14 carries, 110 yards and a touchdown. You held Kyron Williams in check. Everybody was scared about him. 18 carries, 50 yards, a touchdown. Not much to write home about if you're the Rams and Kyron Williams. And to win overtime game, and the way they did it, smash mouth football, running the ball down their throat. They couldn't stop it. They couldn't stop the Detroit Lions running attack, and they were able to be the only team to possess the ball in overtime. Now, I know what I'm going here now. I got my Dallas Cowboys at number 3. Why do I have the Cowboys at 3? Well, they went to Cleveland, who was 8-1 last year on their home turf, and The Cleveland Browns team was actually favored by 2.5 points this past weekend. Dallas made it feel like it was over at halftime. 33-17, a 16-point victory for the Dallas Cowboys. Obviously, they re-signed Dak Prescott just hours before the game. Had a pretty good game. Ezekiel Elliott, it was so important for Ezekiel Elliott to find the end zone. By the way, that's one of 11 that I've predicted for the season. It was so important to give Elliott a touchdown, give him some confidence, and give this fan base some confidence that they signed the right running back. We didn't see much from Rico Dowdle, but we saw CeeDee Lamb make great catches. We saw Dak anticipate that touchdown throw to Brandon Cooks, and we saw a defense run and pressure. They pressured Deshaun Watson 44.6% of the plays, which is the highest in the NFL. And here in just a few moments, we're going to welcome in Johnny Cleveland from the Fanatical Elfz Network. He's going to be talking about Deshaun Watson, how he performed this past weekend, touch a couple other topics in the NFL, and I'm sure you guys are going to enjoy him. I was a guest on his podcast, Johnny Cleveland podcast, this past weekend, previewing that Browns-Cowboys matchup. It was an awesome time. Had to get him back in here. And Wayne saying Browns being favored was a joke. Wayne, be careful. I know you're a Ravens guy, but you will be a little later on today with John to talk some football. So don't make any enemies with John, or maybe he agrees with you. We'll see here in just a couple minutes. Number 2, I have probably. I mean, I hate the Eagles, but I probably hate this team a little bit more just because of how much they've attacked the Cowboys here in recent memory. I got the San Francisco 49ers at number 2. The fact that Christian McCaffrey was ruled out hours before the game because of a calf injury, there's some speculation, there's some debate about how long the 49ers knew McCaffrey was going to be out for this game. We'll have Wayne from Sideline Savants to come in and talk about that a little later on. But Jordan Mason, 28 carries, 147 yards, and a touchdown to make people, hey, who needs Christian McCaffrey? They didn't need him last night against the New York Jets, who have a really good defense. Jordan Mason finally having his opportunity in his 3rd season out of Georgia Tech to come and show that he is a serviceable running back when the 49ers don't have Christian McCaffrey, which could help. That could help the 49ers keep McCaffrey fully healthy when it matters most later on in the season. People trash Brock Purdy, 19 of 29, 231 yards, didn't make mistakes. That's the big thing when it comes to Brock Purdy. He doesn't make mistakes, allowing the 49ers to control the game with 28 carries by Jordan Mason, which allows some of the receivers and weapons to get open and allow them to, be impactful in the game. Debo, 5 catches, 54 yards. George Kittle, 4 catches, 40 yards. Brandon Ayuk, just 2 catches, 28 yards. Some 49ers fans were not happy, including podcast_Smitty from Quick Hits. He wasn't happy. Who is going to be happy? And Wayne saying Joe had me cheering for the Browns last year. Always my guy. I ugly cry for him like T.O. Joe Flacco, it was weird seeing him in a Browns jersey last year, but maybe Giant Cleveland would like Joe Flacco instead of Deshaun Watson. We'll get him here in just a minute or two. But my number 1 team in my top corner rankings are the Kansas City Chiefs. No brainer. Back-to-back Super Bowl champions come out opening night, showed no signs of slowing down, and they have speed now on that offensive side of the ball. You had Xavier Worthy. You had Rashee Rice. You didn't have Hollywood Brown, who set this game. Travis Kelce didn't need to do as much as he's done in the past. 3 catches, 34 yards. Isaiah Pacheco, 3 yards on the ground, not too much. He had a touchdown. But Xavier Worthy, 1st-round pick, immediately stepped up into an already Super Bowl team and showed that he can contribute in a major way with a rushing touchdown, a receiving touchdown. Rashee Rice looks like the clear-cut number 1 option in Kansas City. So those are my top quarter rankings. You can see them on the screen. And we have a huge show in store for you today. I am so excited to welcome in somebody I got to collab with for the very first time this past weekend, Fanatical Elfz Network. They do a lot of stuff for the Fans First Sports Network for Cleveland Browns fans. And I saw from a Cowboys fan's perspective that Deshaun Watson, his body language didn't look to me like he wanted to play football, didn't look like he was ready to lead a team. And to have that body language week one looked very defeated. So now I welcome in John from the Fanatical Elfz Network. I'm super excited to see you, and I'm glad to call you Johnny Cleveland rather than the old Johnny Cleveland.
I'm the original, man. I'm the original.
Well, I'm glad you're the original. You and me were, messaging back and forth. I've seen some of the content you've released the last couple of days.
Sure.
This game, I'm not going to, brag or rub it in your face. The Cowboys won.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm not that guy. But who may also not be that guy is Deshaun Watson. You guys can see it on the screen, 24 45, 169 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions, one of them being tipped. But John, I saw him from the get-go. Like, he was sitting on the sidelines, not talking to anybody, and that was before the game even started. And as the game progressed, he just didn't look like a leader, and I feel like you need that at the quarterback position.
Sure. Yeah. It was really bad. It was pathetic. We've all been talking it for 48 hours or 2 days now here in Cleveland. Everyone is just up in arms. I've got colleagues of mine at my other job who are just like, what the hell is going on? So it's been really, really bad. I will just say this. I'll start with this, that Deshaun did mention in his post-game press conference, his father died late last week. It was his estranged father. He did not have a lot of contact from what everyone has, what I can gather. He also had a friend of his that I think played ball at Clemson who passed away as well. So he talked about that a little bit. But you can say what you want about that and how it affected him. I'm sure we're all human. It affected him a little bit, obviously. But everything you just spoke of, I mean, you're right. I mean, I saw that too. I was at the stadium, Michael, and they actually showed a view of Deshaun sitting by himself, and just from the start, that's just not great. And what you don't need that from you need something else from your leader. And let me tell you, it's been a interesting couple of days here in Cleveland. There's a lot of other stuff going on too. Some stories that have been coming out too about some other potential issues that he's already been dealing with. I don't know if you've caught wind of any of that, but that's been the topic of discussion, especially this last day.
And I think you're referring to another situation coming out that, may have happened before he got to Cleveland. Of course, everybody knows Deshaun Watson missed the entire calendar year. Was talking with John on his podcast how I was able to probably pull the greatest fantasy football fleece trade of all time. Traded Deshaun Watson, who didn't play in 2021, for T. Hill, aka Tyreek Hill.
Yes, in the league that's right. That's a great story, man. That's fantastic. I don't know how that. I mean, that was genius.
I mean, it's what I do, I failed to win my fantasy football redraft for Out of Pocket. I'm sure Wayne will be on to rub that in my face.
Oh, okay.
It's whatever. But yeah, could you? I mean, obviously that's a past incident. It feels like Deshaun's already served his suspension, served his time when it comes to the NFL. But do you think that affects him in terms of, how the organization or even the league moves forward?
Yeah, I do. I think there's a lot of speculation going on right now. I mean, literally right now because the fact the Browns have not come out and said anything technically today about this whole story. So people are suspecting, what does that mean? For right now, I mean, besides that, I think the Browns just need to focus on trying to win this game against Jacksonville next week. But, the whole thing with Deshaun was it was bad. It was so bad. I mean, most of us left in the third quarter. I don't know if you watched most of the rest of it. I'm sure you did because your Dallas Cowboys were having a fun time. Let me tell you, that first pass that Dak made, and I've got some colleagues of mine here in the Fanatical Elves that don't really like Dak Prescott. And I've told you this, Michael, I have a lot of respect for Dak. And I know some of your Dallas fans might not like Dak a lot, but that kid I've always admired that kid since he played at Texas A&M. And that first throw that he made for the touchdown, late in that first quarter, or whatever. Just,
So good.
It was beautiful. And in the Browns, we bit on our safety, bit on that, and went Thornhill bit for, I think it was Tornberg or whatever you got, your wide receiver, Thornberg. Yeah, he took that step up, and kid just went right by him for a beautiful pass. And it was all just touch and rhythm. And even though Dak hadn't played right in the preseason, he looked a hell of a lot better. Not great, but you can definitely see the difference between somebody like Dak and someone like Deshaun, who it just looks miserable. I mean, there's nothing, and there's all sorts of takes today about it, but I'm not real excited. I think that I've already mentioned this to you before. I think Deshaun's got some real issues going on mentally. And and you spoke to that with his body language. And I think that it's that can't be fixed overnight. And so I see that continuing to be a real problem. And I think Cleveland will be having other quarterbacks this season quarterbacking their team pretty soon.
Well, I saw the graphic, and I feel like I got the right number. Since 96, it's been like 38 quarterbacks, or since 99, 38 quarterbacks. Like, that is older than I am when it comes to the amount of quarterbacks. And I was born in 98. Like, that is wild. Of course, some of that due to injuries, but also just not getting the position right. And I did want to look back at the trade and everything that the Texans and the Browns gave up for this trade. Obviously, Deshaun Watson, went to Cleveland, as well as a 2024 6th-round pick. But going to the Houston Texans was Kenyon Green, John Mechie III, Christian Harris, Thomas Booker, Damian Pierce, who's probably a backup running back now for them. But here's where it gets crazy. It was Cade Stover, Kamari Lassiter, Tank Dell, Kalen Bullock, Will Anderson Jr. was included in that trade. It's obviously given the Houston Texans new life. They were in my top quarter rankings.
Oh, they got that, having Joe Nixon and what he did the other day, 150 yards, like you said, a couple touchdowns. They're going to be very, very dangerous.
They're going to be very dangerous. Also, what's up, Austin? Watching us live. And this is why we do lives for Out of Pocket. Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, 5:30. We've extended it to 6:30 for the fall. So you guys can interact with us, engage, hang out. Like that's what I love, is hanging out with you guys. It's tough looking at that trade. And you're not the only organization doing it. Panthers fans are doing it too with Bryce Young. Would you have given up that much collateral?
No. Oh, hell no. No, the Browns made a deal with the devil. I think I might have mentioned that before, and the devil is winning right now, and he's going to win. And unfortunately, for the Browns and fans, we just want to get this thing over with. We're tired. We're annoyed. I can't tell you the number of fans that, I think I told you this on my show, that have already left the team 2 years ago when we made this trade, and now just adding fuel to the fire right now. So it's not going to end well. And a lot of people are yearning for somebody like Baker Mayfield, who torched, had a highlight reel of his career, of course, 4 touchdowns. I can't remember the last time that Baker threw for 4 touchdowns, but I'm almost becoming a Baker fan quietly in the background. So,
I mean, I know we just became friends this weekend, so don't hate me, but man, the 2 quarterbacks I diss the most. Yes. Shai Manziel and Baker Mayfield, because I'm like, they're not the answer, and they weren't.
Okay.
I mean, obviously Baker had one good year with Cleveland. Austin, by the way, if this is right and you're a Browns fan, I got the right guy for you. Let me make sure I point the right way. Yes, I did. He does phenomenal work. He has an entire Cleveland Browns podcast network through Fans First Sports Network. I was on the Giant Cleveland show this past weekend. I swear they do so much.
Stirring the pot last night with Lou Marconi, who's a ex-pro wrestler. I think you've been talking to him about doing some shows together, and we got a variety of shows: the Dog Pound South show, East Bank Sports show, Dog Food Radio, my show. We do a Fanatical Elfz show Thursday nights. So we keep busy.
You keep busy. And I was even watching the show with Lou stirring the pot last night. I was triple screening. I was trying to watch the game. I was trying to watch Raw for the nightcap last night. And then I was like, I saw you guys were on it. I'm like, ooh, let me throw the other earbud in. I honestly,
we both like to talk.
Dude, it was fantastic. Austin saying he's a huge Brown fan. Have to drop a follow. Sign Nick Chubb, limited poster out 25. That is cool.
Cool. Nice job, Austin. Where are you from?
We'll get to, Doc's Austin and see where he's from. He says he needs to get rid of Deshaun in his opinion. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Yes. The sooner the better. But here's the thing. I mean, there's a lot of Browns fans who are trying to, I'm more your outrageously kind of crazy on the cuff sort of Browns fan, but we're all getting there really quick. Some of the steadier, level-headed Browns fans are looking at the contract and saying, well, he's got to be here until through 2026. And I'm like, who cares? We don't care. Jimmy Haslam is a billionaire. He just has to bite the bullet and take the 200. We get hit 200 million this year, 170 million next year. After that, it drops down to 99 million as far as dead cap money. So I would say he has to the end of this year. But here's the thing with this outstanding little thing that's going on right now with this latest off the field issue. There's been a lot of chatter today about, did it happen? It was in the past, but did the Browns know about it? And if they didn't know about it, and this is something new, then there is something in the contract that says goodbye. Like they can null and void everything. And let me tell you, as a businessman and Jimmy Haslam, don't be surprised if something crazy happens in the next, especially if things start going south. So.
Wow, and that could make it really big. Austin saying he's from Pittsburgh and isn't a Steelers fan.
How the hell did you end up in Pittsburgh and you're a Browns fan? I love you for the fact that you're a Browns fan, but
that's fantastic, right?
I love Pittsburgh. Now listen, Pittsburgh, the city. If you ever get a chance, it's a great town, but the football team sucks. So okay.
Well, John, I luckily have somebody who would agree with you. We got a Ravens fan.
Is this
he's a Ravens fan?
He's a Ratbird fan. All right.
I had to do it. Me and John were on this show, the John Cleveland podcast this weekend, and he was like coming up with nicknames for like the rivals, and I'm like, I need to like.
Well, you'll be glad I was brave and I called the Steeler fan a squealer. One of my admin I work with at schools, I called him a squealer, which he didn't take very kindly to today.
Oh, I don't know why he didn't. I mean, it's an endearing remark. But I will say, like, that could be an interesting situation to develop. Deshaun Watson, and maybe this, news leaked at that moment in time.
Yes, why did it leak right then?
It might go in Cleveland's favor, but guys, we have a special guest. I just mentioned him a few minutes ago. He has a new show debuting tomorrow, The Sideline Savants. It's a fantasy football centric show. He's been doing a lot of stuff with Boom Broadcasting. He's a guy I met in line at a wrestling show, Sting's final match. Lou Marconi, if you're listening, you might enjoy that little tidbit. His show debuts tomorrow at noon, and he's a busy guy, but I agreed to get him on. He agreed, rather. We're welcoming in the commish. We got Wayne Thomas in the show. Wayne, it's oh, he's already got the Ravens hat on.
Damn.
How you doing, Wayne?
I'm great, man. How are you all?
Doing pretty good. You got the new mic set up and everything.
I do, man. Have to look legit, So
nice.
Gotta go on.
Dude, we just got Wayne's debut with the new mic set up. So I gotta ask you guys, we're going to switch gears from Deshaun Watson to another quarterback, and it doesn't look so good. If you watched the game last night, the Jets lost.
Yeah.
The Jets didn't lose Aaron Rodgers. They lost the game. Robert Saleh decided to make the comment that it's better to be 0-1 with Aaron Rodgers still healthy than 1-0 without Aaron Rodgers. Obviously, that was the situation last year. 3 plays into the year, Aaron Rodgers tears his Achilles. He's out for the year. And now that's not the case. Jets lose last night to the 49ers. And I'll go ahead and say this. 49ers were my second team on the top corner rankings. That's a good football team. There's no shame. As a matter of fact, I would say the Jets putting up 19 points against the 49ers last night is an accomplishment in of itself. I was predicting like 38-3. Like, I was not being kind right there. But they still lost. I don't know if this was the appropriate comment to make if I'm Robert Saleh, especially after a loss. Wayne, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, probably not a good comment to make. I will say whoever decided to put Aaron Rodgers against the 49ers at home as his opening game back after tearing his leg to shreds is a little that's a wild call. But I guess they figured it couldn't go worse than what last year did for his opening game. So, but what a wild move for the NFL to make Aaron Rodgers play the 49ers in week 1.
That was mean. That was cruel. The only way it could have been worse is if it was in San Francisco. That would have been even worse. I don't know. The Jets fans, that you never know how they're going to react. Sometimes they're too fickle and they start booing and cheering for the other team. No other NFL team does that, by the way.
Yeah.
Right, John?
Yeah. I was one of them booing, at halftime.
Well, I heard you loud.
You could probably hear me. Yes. Everybody in the stadium needed to take long walks by the end of the second quarter of that game. So, referring to the Browns-Dallas game, of course.
Yeah, it was quite the time. John, do you like Robert as the head coach of a football team making the comment? Yeah, I'd rather be 0-1 right now. Totally good, right? Because we got Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know. No, I don't. I think, I'm not a big Jets fan, so you're talking to somebody who I'm not looking at the Jets as anything special. I know having Aaron Rodgers back there, he's a veteran, but the Jets are the Jets, so I'll just leave it at that. I mean, what is he, year 3 or 4 right now with the Jets? Is he on the hot seat?
I mean, especially if I think Aaron Rodgers getting hurt last year almost gave him a pass. He's been the coach since 2021, but I mean, 4-13 that first year, 7-10 both the last 2 years, finishing 4th and 3rd in the division. I don't know. I would say he's probably on the hot seat.
Who's the Jets' backup quarterback?
The Jets' backup quarterback. Let me see.
I don't know. That's what I'm asking you guys.
Actually, it's a guy Wayne knows very well. I'm sure he played in Cleveland too.
Oh,
it's Tyrod Taylor.
Oh, really?
Okay.
Tyrod did. Okay, he's the backup. Interesting. Yeah. Tyrod played in Buffalo when my daughter played hoops for the University of Buffalo, so she got to meet Tyrod back in the day. It was pretty cool. He's a real nice guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, Tyrod's bounced around the league. Started in Baltimore. Went to Buffalo, as you mentioned. Cleveland. He had a short stint in Cleveland.
Yes.
LA Chargers, Houston Texans, New York Giants. He's with the Jets now. He was actually 6 of 8 and 36 yards and a touchdown last night. So kudos to Tyrod.
So they pulled him. They pulled Aaron. See, they pulled Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I honestly. I turned it off at some point because I was like, this is not going the way it's going to happen. Was doing the Raw nightcap, which is available on demand, but it looks like at some point Tyrod did enter the game, being 6 of 8 and a touchdown. Wayne, would you rather have Tyrod Taylor over Aaron Rodgers? Because I mean, Tyrod did score a touchdown in the final minute of that game.
No, Aaron Rodgers got dealt a bad hand last night playing the 49ers in San Fran at the opening game. That's just what it is. I also want to say one more thing about the coach making those remarks. As soon as I heard them, I thought about Zach Wilson. I mean, come on now. that kid can't get a break. I mean, just kick him while you're down, while you're at it. You know, at least with Zach Wilson got you that win after Aaron Rodgers went out last year. Yeah. And you're going to sit there and just, you know, just more dirt on top of Zach Wilson. I mean, I feel for that guy.
Yeah.
Man, well, he's in Denver now, so we really feel for him. One of the things that was a big talking point, even before last night's game kicked off, was there was a guy who was missing in action. It's Christian McCaffrey. And I hope you guys get the dad joke, the pun intended. That was the exact reaction I was looking for. You know, I got to get, you know, a little more creative with, you know, what I put on these bottom tickers. But Christian McCaffrey upset Carson in our, you know, fantasy league. It upset a lot of people when McCaffrey was just like, yeah, let me sit this Monday Night Football game out. My calf hurts. It was not a good look. Obviously, it didn't hurt the 49ers in a long run. Jordan Mason having a really good game. The team win 32-19. It was actually in San Francisco. That was my bad. A couple minutes ago. You know, so many things going on at once. You know, you'll always get that. It was in San Francisco, so it was the worst hand dealt possible.
Absolutely.
But McCaffrey out, and I don't know why. I mean, I'm sure we'll get Wayne's comments in terms of fantasy football here in a second. But John, do you think the team can rely on Christian McCaffrey to play? I mean, he won't play a full season now, but like to continue to be healthy.
I don't know. You know, I just to speak on the fantasy league, I had the number 1 pick in the league, so I lost last night. I would have won. So now I got to bring donuts for the rest of the crew tomorrow. I have all my colleagues. So I'm a little pissed. Found that out right, you know, before the game last night. So, no, I think, yeah, I don't know yes, I don't think he's going to be there every game. The fact that isn't it a calf and sort of Achilles issue, right? Isn't it like multiple? It's not just a calf, but it's an Achilles. I don't know. I'd be very, very cautious. You know, he's the best or one of the best top 5, you know, running backs in the league. So I would say probably, I don't know. Who do they play next week?
The San Francisco 49ers, you know, play, and you said Achilles as well. It was listed as a calf and Achilles. They play the Minnesota Vikings next week on the road.
I'd sit him. Yeah, I'd still sit him. You know, bring him in a few weeks. He's not on the PUP list like Nick Chubb. So yeah, I think it would just be, you need to be cautious. And they won the game. And if you're San Francisco, you know, you're take care of that. Take care of, you know, you got time on your hands, so use it. And I would just be extraordinarily cautious. Didn't he get hurt when he was in Carolina? That was a different injury?
Oh, he was hurt pretty consistently in Carolina, but yeah, that offensive line would probably do that to you too.
Sure. So, and you talked about earlier, like, you know, that kid Mason, Georgia Tech kid, he had a hell of a game. He was able to showcase some of that too. So I just roll with that. I mean, if you can roll with that for another week or two, why not? So
why not? Wayne, I know you have some fantasy football insight. You know, and anything you can help John so he doesn't have to bring donuts into the office.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah.
Next week. Well, anything would probably be helpful for that.
Well, I mean, in regards to CMC, when the guy's on the field, he's obviously a difference maker. So I understand San Fran reaching for him and grabbing him, and he's already had a huge impact on the team. As far as how he impacts the team going forward, look, we saw Jordan Mason have 28 rushing attempts yesterday with 147 yards. I mean, they're not hurting. You know, Kyle Shanahan knows what he's doing with his running backs. He knows how he coaches them. He knows how to call the plays, and I don't see it a big miss for San Fran, especially when they did that against the Jets. You know, a pretty decent defense of their own. So going forward, I wouldn't be too stressed out about it. When CMC gets back, it's going to be great for him. But while he's gone, obviously Jordan Mason's up to par.
And there was a good performance by Jordan Mason. If you missed that stat run earlier when I was doing my top core rankings, put the 49ers at 2. You guys can go back and watch, available on demand through the Boom Broadcasting YouTube channel. See who I put as number 1. Jordan Mason having 28 carries, 147 yards, and touchdown. In the absence of Christian McCaffrey, Jason joined us. Thank you, Jason. CMC will not play until they need him. And let's think about it. Jack also joined us. Appreciate you listening. He looks like he's wearing a Ravens hoodie, so he might be a Ravens guy.
That's actually my brother.
Oh, that makes sense. Because all right, that makes sense. Rich probably doesn't like Deshaun Watson at quarterback. I'm assuming that was about Deshaun Watson, right, John?
Probably, yes.
Probably that was about the Deshaun Watson. And let's think like when the 49ers would need them. Obviously, we said they play Minnesota. John, you don't think they need them then.
No.
And their next games are the LA Rams on the road. And then you got the New England Patriots, and then you have the Arizona Cardinals. I would hate to see McCaffrey miss the first month of the season. So when do you think he could return?
Just, the fact that he's been recovering for a while, right? I mean, going through the preseason, he's been injured. So I would say it's not going to be a month. I would say maybe the next 2 or 3 weeks.
we got the wife support, and love that.
But let's hear from Wayne.
Let's hear from Wayne. When do you think McCaffrey will be back?
I agree. I think he stays out for at least 3 more games. Let him get healthy. Let him get good to go. There's no need to rush it, especially when Jordan Mason is more capable of handling the ball like he did last night. I just don't see a point in rushing him. And on a fantasy aspect, it stinks, of course, people, but that's what you get when you draft CMC, and you should know it.
Mm-hmm. And that is why I passed up on Christian McCaffrey. It was one of my 7 leagues that I'm in. I totally forget which one. But I had the number 1 overall pick. It was a snake draft, and they're like, oh, that's obvious. You're drafting Christian McCaffrey. Da, da, da. And I drafted CeeDee Lamb, and I got flack for it. And they're like, what are you doing? Da, 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 da. I'm like, well, at least I won my week 1 game. So
yes, yes.
We'll see who got the final laugh there. John, dude, I'm gonna let you see yourself out with the WWE Top Rope Tuesday. Hoping to collab with Lou from the Fanatical
Elfz Network soon.
That'd be fantastic. Appreciate you getting me into contact with them. But we got some Browns fans in the comments already.
Really?
Where can they find all your stuff?
All right, so we're the Fanatical Elfz Network. We're Elfz Net at Elfz Network on YouTube, on the X. We're everywhere. Facebook, we've got a Facebook page called the Fanatical Elfz Network as well. Many of our guys write for Fans First Sports Network, so you can read our writings. I also write for Northeast Ohio Sports Insiders. I've written for Dogtown Daily over the years. Not doing that right now, but yeah, we started this adventure with the Brownies and the Fans First group about a year ago, and very excited to be part of this. And I know you're part of this now. And Wayne, are you part of this group now? Are you part of Fans First? Are you in that group?
I'm not sure. Am I part of that group, Mike?
You're not part of Fans First Sports Network yet.
All right.
But he did just join Boom Broadcasting, which is where Out of Pocket's based out of. We just crossed 400 subs while we were on air yesterday.
Yes. Well, we want to grow. We really want to grow our YouTube channel at the Elfz Network. So we're at Elfz Network, ELFZ Network. And we'd love to grow because we're not nearly as big as you are right now. And I think I told you off air the one time, my son, he's been a big YouTuber over the years. So he's got 110,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel. So we got a little bit room to build, but we just like talking Browns. So, please subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on the X. I like to say a lot of negative things about Baltimore. So if
a friend of Michael's is a friend of mine, so it's all
that's good. That's all good, Wayne. Thank you, bud. Thanks for having me, Michael. Thanks. Nice to see you, Wayne.
buddy.
And I hope the Ravens lose. But
well, John, I appreciate you hopping on. If you guys haven't, go subscribe, go follow them. They do fantastic work. It's pretty awesome. Wayne, thank you for keeping it cordial with a Browns guy. That was absolutely wonderful. Now it's Top Rope Tuesday. It's Monday Night Raw time. If you have not watched Monday Night Raw, please get off now, avoid spoilers, or if you don't mind, this is going to be a great segment. Jey Uso, no surprise here.
Yeet.
Yeet. We just got Wayne yeeting and the tattoo right there. I need a tattoo now. What is that? Is that Bat?
That's Batman, brother.
Can you do your best Batman impression?
I'm Batman.
that was fantastic. I love. Yeah, that's what you get on the live streams. We don't get to cut that out, and who would want to cut that out, right?
Yeah.
It's I have to go until I watch Raw. See you fellows. Jack, appreciate having you. You got a good brother right there. And hopefully you enjoy his show debuting, Sideline Savants, for fantasy football tomorrow. The commish will have you covered. Right. So I'm glad he saw himself out. Jey Uso won the Fatal 4-Way and is now challenging Braun Breaker for the Intercontinental Championship. So we'll see what happens. Wayne, personally, I don't foresee Jey Uso beating Braun Breaker. I feel like it'd be too close to the Bloodline story. I feel like it's too soon in Braun Breaker's reign, but we keep watching Raw and people are yeeting. People are loving Jey Uso. He's over with the crowd. He's almost getting the LA Knight treatment right now where they just don't have the time or the energy or the story to put the championship on him. Do you think a tag team specialist in Jey Uso, who's now become the main event, will he ever hold a singles championship in WWE?
I think he will. I think he needs to. I mean, look at the crowd response and how much we love this guy. I mean, he entertains us week in and week out. They've given him this opportunity over and over again so far over the last year, and it seems to keep being in places where it doesn't seem to make sense that he's going to win. I think the last time that actually made sense was probably Money in the Bank. And I do wish they would have went that route versus the route they did go. That was a wasted Money in the Bank, in my opinion. But yeah, it's not happening this time. I hope it does happen, though.
I know you didn't like that Money in the Bank, but I feel like we don't get the news that we got last night if it wasn't for that Money in the Bank, where, CM Punk cost Drew McIntyre the cash in yet again a couple months ago.
Yeah, pretty much. You're right.
I like hearing I'm right, but no, and that's one thing about the Money in the Bank is like you would hope like people like Tiffany Stratton, she's holding it in, teasing it. Damian Priest last year, a really great Money in the Bank champion or briefcase holder that held the briefcase until WrestleMania where he cashed in. Like you obviously miss out on those moments, which Jey Uso could have had. But dude, I just don't know like what's next for him. What's the plans? I don't think you or I either one see him win the title against Braun Breaker.
Yeah, I do think he's going to end up back in the Bloodline storyline. I think that's kind of where they're going with this, and that's unfortunate because it takes him away from the singles aspect that he looked like he was going to get. However, I mean, is it really that unfortunate for storytelling when you have Roman Reigns coming back and potentially Jimmy and then Jey reunited? For business, it's good. For the viewers, it's good, and I think it's going to be a heck of a storyline. He'll get his time. I really believe he will. And this crowd's not gonna slow down for Jey Yeet Master Uso.
Well, dude, that's awesome. And you brought up getting back involved in the Bloodline story. Obviously, I feel like that's why he's not going to win a title. When would you bring Jey Uso into that fold? Because the Bloodline story is all on SmackDown. Jey has made a life for himself on Monday Night Raw. How do you get from one point to the next?
Well, if I'm booking it, technically Roman Reigns is a free agent. They said that during the draft that Roman Reigns is not in the draft. He is a free agent. And I would not be surprised if we see when Roman Reigns comes back, it will be a surprise. It will be on Raw. It will be him recruiting the guys he needs to go. And then they're going to go after the so-and-so bloodline right now.
Wow. And Jimmy Uso's a free agent too, right?
I believe he was drafted on SmackDown, but I could be wrong.
Let me look at, because I could see that, because obviously Roman would need and Jimmy's a free agent.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So, and by the way, when we say free agent, we're not saying they're going to AEW.
Yeah.
That's not the case. Please no All Out spoilers. I'm watching tonight. Hopefully, if I get a break, I can watch it tonight. I don't know why I did that, because that's not going to work, obviously. But Jimmy's a free agent. Roman's technically a free agent. Sami Zayn and Jey Uso are both on Raw. Could Sami Zayn get involved in this bloodline story and help out Roman?
Yeah, he sure can. He absolutely can. We've already seen Sami and Jey develop a relationship over at Raw and be decent with each other. So I can certainly see it happen.
Now, and I know I didn't bring this up on, the rundown. I don't have a fancy little graphic on the screen, but, we did bring up Sami Zayn. He's trying to get a world title match against Gunther. Dude, how great was that line last night?
Oh, fantastic. I mean, he killed it. Absolutely killed it. Crushed it.
If you are, sure of what we're referencing, Bret Hart's career was ended because of a botched kick by Bill Goldberg. Concussion, couldn't come back to the ring. And of course, Gunther standing in the ring with Canadian legend Bret the Hitman Hart in Calgary says, you were always second favorite to my real favorite, Bill Goldberg. And man, golly, you would have thought Dominic Mysterio had grabbed the microphone and was trying to talk to these fans.
Perfect.
But that was perfect. That was an action-packed Monday Night Raw, which makes me a little upset, Wayne. Not gonna lie, a little frustrated. Years ago, I would have prayed for a 2-hour Raw. Watching Raw under Vince McMahon was so bad. It was so painful. And it was just so bad. I was like, can we please shorten this back down to 2 hours? Can we maybe even make it 1 hour? Like, it was that hard to get through. But ever since Triple H took over, like, I am watching Raw from start to finish. I am loving every minute of Raw because there's real storyline development. Well, between Raw's deal ending with USA and their deal with Netflix, USA has agreed to allow Monday Night Raw to air this fall, but it will be temporarily back to 2 hours. They're not going to take the third hour from 10 to 11. I have a lot of thoughts on this, Wayne. Do you even like the idea of having a 2-hour Monday Night Raw this fall and winter?
Michael, I love the idea of having a 2-hour Monday Night Raw.
Why?
Well, why? Because I'm an old man and I get tired, Mike. No. No, another thing about it, I've been very vocal that I prefer the other promotion. I enjoy the style of AEW. And sometimes when I go to watch Monday Night Raw, especially after an AEW pay-per-view, it kind of drags for me. I do think WWE spends a lot of time on explaining the story, some recaps, and of course some commercials. Obviously that's going away once we go to Netflix, but I think until that happens, a lot of that third hour is really filler. And I laid there and I just once 10 o'clock comes, I'm just ready to go to bed. I got to work in the morning, so I don't mind. I'm actually excited that it's 2 hours.
Wow. And that's a fair point. Like, it can be longer. Obviously I'm on the East Coast. I'm doing the nightcap after it's me getting to bed at midnight with mouthing off with Mike. His suspension is looming, by the way. I just want to figure out when I'm gonna, crack it down. I can't do it right now. I can't afford that right now. But we'll eventually be suspended, mouth it off with Mike. You can let us know in the comments if you don't want me to, but it doesn't really matter because I'm the prez, right? But dude, I am just thinking about the amount of people that wouldn't get showcased. Like, will the women get showcased as much as they do? There's already people complaining about time that the women's matches actually get allotted to them, which would be an issue if you went to 2 hours. The Raw roster is bigger than the SmackDown. So are we going to even up the rosters? Where are people going to find screen time? Because I'd hate for a situation like Cameron Grimes, somebody super talented, could never get on TV, and then he just, gets released, and now he's back on the indies, which he's going to absolutely kill it. It was 8 years ago that he was at my birthday party wrestling. I got to manage him and Brad Attitude for my birthday. It showed up on Facebook today. It was fantastic. Absolutely loved, absolutely enjoyed that. But dude, if we were getting 2 hours commercial free on Netflix, I'm okay with that. But also, like, USA, here's my thing. Like, what are you going to air from 10 to 11 that will draw viewers? That's what I'm confused about.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very fair point to make. And I did not think about the business aspect of it. And once you mentioned that, I'm like, yeah, that does stink. That absolutely stinks. There's already some wrestlers that we ask often of where are they at, where are they? And there's, you're right. It does have a very big roster, and limiting it down one less hour. That could be problematic for the crew.
And what another thing is, like, you and I have both been to live wrestling events. I mean, it's how we connected.
Yeah.
You've had the opportunity this year to go to several different Monday Night Raws. I'm a little jealous you got to go to the Wyatt Six debut in Baltimore. Like, you've had some really cool moments. I've been to a SmackDown, and SmackDown was enjoyable. It was during WrestleMania season. The Rock and Roman didn't show up. That was Super Bowl weekend. I mean, it was just the worst luck of the draw. It was the day after that huge WrestleMania press conference where, Cody and Rock slapped each other. Like, it was worst timing. But I enjoy getting my money's worth going to a 3-hour Raw versus a 2-hour SmackDown. Even though I am tired at the end. So it's like, it's a give and take. Where would you lean on that aspect?
Well, I mean, I've been to both Raw. I've been to SmackDown. The last show we actually went to was SmackDown. And in the beginning of Raw, when they show it live, they usually do the main event, which is a pre-show that they have, maybe like two matches, like dark matches. They eventually show on YouTube that they do on Monday Night Raw. But for SmackDown, they have dark matches after the program goes off air. We got Liv Morgan versus, I believe it was Sky Blue. Not Sky Blue. I'm sorry. Liv Morgan. Yeah, Liv Morgan versus Io Sky. And then we also got it was Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre as a dark match. And so for the dark matches, they sometimes bring in Raw people, and you just never know who you're going to see. And they do a really great job giving you that extra hour after the television program goes off, that you don't feel gypped of being there.
Okay, that's that is good to know. And some people don't know that from live events. You do get a little extra money's worth, especially with that, end of the show. They'll either do a fun segment with Jey Uso yeeting with Rhea and Damian, or they'll throw together a match that's really cool. Got to see Seth Rollins, Matt Riddle, one of those episodes that I went to a few years back when Riddle was still with the company.
Yeah, the SmackDown dark matches are way better than the main event dark matches before Raw.
I saw Cameron Grimes versus Gunther.
Oh, wow.
Back in February, I saw that match. Like, Gunther, a Raw guy, coming to SmackDown to wrestle Cameron Grimes, and it was awesome. Like, it was a good match, too. Like, they gave them time.
Yeah, our favorite part of that whole SmackDown was Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre, just standing in that ring, goofing off, yeeting together. I mean, it was like a comedic performance, but it was just a blast. It was so fun. They had the audience going.
Well, that's awesome. Wayne, we're closing in on our hour. If people missed it, Sideline Savants debuts tomorrow. Fantasy Football Insight podcast hosted by, it says Wayne the Model, but you're changing to the commish tomorrow.
Yes, I would be the commish. Let me just say, I never claimed the model. That was a name that was given to me because of this cross to bear face I was born with. I have never claimed to be the model, but I appreciate the love. The commish is here starting tomorrow.
Well, this is basically a fraternity where you don't pick your nickname. It picks you. That was bestowed on you by Mouth Off with Mike Nightcap. It's also
Mikey Poo.
It's
I love you, Mike.
It's also been written in his report, so I understand the bullying aspect. Don't be a bully, be a star. Mouth Off with Mike. But it's okay. We'll handle that situation there. What can they expect tomorrow on your debut?
Hey, well, we're going to talk, obviously, fantasy football. We're going to go through some starts and sits. We're going to go through – I got a couple surprises up my sleeve that I'm going to show on the screen. Let me just say the commish brings receipts, and you will see some receipts throughout this season of Silas events. It will not go on – your mistakes will not go unnoticed. My mistakes will not go unnoticed. We're going to have a good time. It's going to be a very lively show.
It's going to be a very lively show. Don't bring up that I lost to Esteban in our redraft fantasy league. Nobody wants to relive that. Wayne, it was awesome having you on Out of Pocket today. Really appreciate you hopping in with us. Sideline Savant debuts Wednesday. We also, before we had the Gridiron Address debut this past Sunday with Aaron. That's been fantastic. We also have Dugout Debrief. We debuted 3 new podcasts this week. Dugout Debrief will debut on this Thursday, and it's our first baseball podcast hosted by Chris, who was in the comments a little later on. Guys, this has been phenomenal. This has been fantastic. Absolutely love hanging out with you guys on Out of Pocket. Out of Pocket will be back on Thursday, 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time for more sports content. Obviously, I was on the Nightcap last night talking Raw. Mouth Off with Mike will be back tonight for NXT exclusive to the Boom Broadcasting YouTube channel. And you don't want to miss tomorrow's jam-packed day. Quick hits at 9 a.m. Sideline Savants at 12 p.m. Drop the Mic. My wrestling podcast will be back at a new time, 3 p.m. And we have Lombardi Party at 6 p.m. We have AEW Dynamite's Nightcap following that show. We have way too much stuff for you. If you'd like, use our Fanatics affiliate link. It helps us, and it helps get you your gear for the start of the NFL season. But, guys, this has been an awesome time with you all. It's been Out of Pocket, and we will be back here on Thursday. Can't wait to see you here.
Well, that's it. I really hope you enjoyed it. We had a ball making it.